Can you? Hey everyone, can you confirm if I'm audible? And we will start the session soon. Just waiting for confirmation if I'm audible or not. Can you just write a yes if I'm audible? Perfect. I'll wait for a couple of minutes till everyone joins in. How's everyone doing? How's the weekend going? I'll wait for a couple of minutes till everyone joins. Give me a second. Voice low, too low. Is the voice super low? Let me check. Okay, the voice is it like very low? I don't think it's very low. Okay, waiting for everyone to join in, then we will get started. Yeah, this is really Striver. No, this is a robotic version, the AI version of Striver. So we'll be talking about the hiring trends today. So like, can I just have a count of the audience? Like, are you fourth year, third year, or there's someone working in the industry, or first year, second years? Can you just write your whatever wherever you belong to? Just write it in the comment section so that I have an idea about uh, what the distribution of the audience is. Okay, third, fourth year, pass out, working as a fresher, fourth year, final year, working profession, graduate, third. Okay, looks like we have a lot of people who are uh, who are right around the placement season, right? Looks like a lot of people who are around the placement season. So we'll be talking about the change in the hiring trends. So up till probably before the layoffs, the hiring trend was basically like for all the top MNCs was basically around a coding round. Once you clear the coding round, it was technically DSA rounds, and then probably one project round or a core subject or a system design or a low level design rounds. I feel and I've seen in a lot of companies, including the company that I work currently at. So since I work at Google, I've seen it very closely. Previously, there was this role L4, which is technically the SD, like the software engineer 2 role in the market. Previously, the interviews were straight away 5 DSA rounds. If you clear, you get interviewed. So you get the offer. But now what Google has done is they have brought in this design round. So if you're applying for a software engineer, let's say backend role, maybe you'll have a low level design round. If you're applying for a software engineer front end, I can probably share you an example. So for a front end software engineer role, what they usually give is design a component. Now you can, like, you might be knowing front end in React or Angular or Next or any other language. They don't care. What they ask you is to write a component which can be reused, and you can write a component in most of the languages, and they will be looking at your thought process, not at the which language you're using. So going forward, the like I know DSA is important, it will be important, but I think you need to focus on projects as well. So today, I'll be revolving around what kind of projects to do, how to make sure that the projects are something which can fit into your resume, are like what different that you have to do, because Amazon clone, Instagram clone, all this shit stuff has been done by everyone. So you have to do something different. Now, if I'm talking about projects, you have to do projects in a sense that you have to do a project which is more like a performance oriented, or you do something different for what the generic audience is doing, and that is what we'll be talking about today. So tell me one thing, uh, if you're doing a project, uh, how will you showcase that project in an interview? Tell me about that. How will you showcase your projects in an interview? Just tell me about that. You can tell me in the comment section. I'll be reading the comments. How do you generically like? I've seen a lot of people. What they do is uh, they host it somewhere and they share the screen and they work through the project, saying that okay, this is the project and this is how it looks. The first page looks like this. From the first project, you go to this and then this and then this. This is how most of the people do it, right? I think that's a very wrong way to do it. If you're going in an interview, please note it down. Going forward, any interview that you attend, showcase your project in this particular way. Always have a presentation ready. Make sure you have your presentation ready. Now in the presentation, break it down. Yes, I'm again repeating, in the presentation, try to break it down. Now when I'm saying breaking it down, try to break it down in scenarios of the work environment that you're interviewing for. Whenever you're interviewing for a software engineer role, you just don't go and code. There's a process. There's a famous quote that software engineering is 20% coding, the rest 80% is very different. You just code for 20%, because I also work as a software engineer. Most of the times are design meetings, reviews, etc., etc., and I get hardly like 20% time to code. So try to replicate that process when you're going in for an project interview. Now what you have to do is, whatever project you have made, remember one thing: in a 30-minute or a 45-minute interview, they cannot deep dive into your code base. How you present will matter. That will show you, that will show them how you work, like your process of work. So what you can do is, whenever you go in for an interview, create a presentation and have the first slide as problem statement. That should be your first slide problem statement. And tell the interviewer that I figured out that this is a problem. That problem statement can be anything. And you can give a reasoning. Maybe you wanted to learn a tech stack. Maybe you wanted to learn something. That is why you picked up this project. It doesn't matter. But be honest. Don't tell that I just did it because of X, Y, Z, some reason which is not very natural. Be honest. If like, try to avoid clone projects. I know a lot of people are asking in the comments. Try to avoid clone projects. They're okay, but they won't make you stand out. So whatever projects you're making, the first thing is problem statement, the reason for that problem statement. It can be a problem that you're solving. It can be because you're trying to solve or learn a tech stack. Can be anything, but be honest with that reason. Once you're done with that, second should be a very high level design. I'm not saying in terms of technology, I'm saying in terms of, imagine you're making a, just take an example, the merchandise store. In case you're making a merchandise store or any store, Amazon, you should have a high level design. Okay, this is how my front end will look like. That's basically the design diagram. In terms of, because if you're creating a full stack project, you have a UX diagram, right? So have that incorporated. Okay, this is how I'm thinking the project will be. This is how I'm trying to solve. And have the second slide for that and explain to the interviewer that this is what I'm trying to build. In the third section, tell him that I did think about this and what technologies did I consider, and show him in the slides technologies considered. Write all the options that you did consider. Okay, and then have a slide, or in the same slide you can tell, okay, these are the technologies that I did choose. And do not write that because I knew. A lot of times I've seen people writing because I knew Java, that is why I did choose this one. Do not write that. Instead of, write some valuable reasons. Whatever technology you're using, probably you can figure out from your problem statement why are you using it, and write the explanation or write the reasoning behind picking up this one. Once you have done this, what is the next thing? You come up across to the next slide. So you have explained the interviewer your problem statement, kind of the overall the UX or the whatever the creative design you're thinking of. You've also explained what are the tech stack that you're going to pick. The fourth thing should be, okay, while designing this, maybe you can present. It's not recommended to present your code base because no one understands those long lines of code. What you can give him is maybe a low level design or maybe a high level design, that is depending on your problem statement. Give him a high level or a low level design so that you can explain, this is what I'm trying to do and this is what my design will be, because this is how software engineers work in the industry. They do not build, they first design, they show the design to everyone. If everyone is convinced, then they go and build. So show the design. It can be a low level design, it can be a high level design. Show it and try to explain them that okay, this will be my entry point. From this, I'll be calling this I'll be calling this, I'll have an authentication, then I'll be calling backend, whatever your project is having. Try to explain them. Try taking 5-10 minutes. Once you have done that, after that, what you can do is you can share your screen and showcase your projects, and then try to relate. I told you now this class in the low level design, and this is what this class is doing in the live one. You can try to connect the dots, and this is where you can explain your design better when you're sharing your screen. Once you have done this, okay, what's the next step? The next step is always important to tell what are the difficulties you faced. Now, whenever you're going in an interview, just tell that, okay, I didn't build this one, but these are the difficulties I faced, because while developing any product, you will always face difficulties. So note down those difficulties when you're building the product, and tell the interviewer that these are the four top difficulties that I faced, and I did solve them by considering these following paths. Because for every difficulty, you always have multiple solutions. You might have a senior helping you, you might have seen a YouTube video that helped you out. So always tell them that this is how I solved it, or these are the possible considerations that I did take into account, and this is how I did solve it. So once you're done with this, ask the interviewer, do you have any questions? Now what this does is, this presents you an entire picture of your project in an interview, and you end up taking 30 minutes, which is very critical. Whenever you go in an interview, whenever you're going anywhere, be it an interview, be it a project discussion, be it anything in your life, dominate. Just remember this word, dominate. You should be that dominating that before asking a question, they should be like whenever you go into a class, it happens now. You don't want to ask a question to the teacher because you're not sure if the question is correct or not. So whenever you're going into a project meeting, whenever you're going into an interview, try to dominate. You should not be doubtful about your answer. You should be sure about the things that you're saying. Have that thing when you're going in an interview. So this is how you can get through the project round, because if you're taking 30-40 minutes while explaining your entire project, it just it doesn't shows your coding stuff, it also shows your management thing. How have you managed the project? How's your thought process? How's your working process? And that is very beneficial, because as a software engineer, as an engineering manager, anyone, they look at the process that you're adapting. See, coding is something which most of the people can do, because we don't code rocket science anywhere. Coding is something you can use AI, Google search, Stack Overflow, documentation, and eventually you will figure it out how to code. But people focus on the processes, how fast, how better is your process, that we don't have a lot of bugs after the release or these things. So this is how you will be going through your project rounds. The other round that you will have to take care of is the low level design round. I am very sure going forward in most of the interviews, at least one or two rounds, you'll find about low level design rounds. Now, this is where I think you need a mentor. Like, I personally feel if you're doing for low level designs, try to discuss with people, because see, DS rounds are very different. If I ask you sort an arrays of zeros, ones, and twos, it means there's a typical answer to it, and that will be the answer, like the Dutch national flag algorithm, and that will be the answer. I cannot change the answer because that is how it is solved, right? But when it comes to a low level design interview, when it comes to a system design interview, it's very important. It's an open ended discussion, and these kind of open ended discussions you can do with your seniors, or maybe you can get a mentor. Like, probably you can check out Preplaced as well. In Preplaced you get mentors, and you can get onboarded with one of the mentors, and over there you can have sessions with these mentors where you can tell them that, okay, let's probably brainstorm how to design Tinder, for an example, right? And you talk about the low level design of Tinder, or maybe the high level design of Tinder, and you brainstorm with the mentor, because that is how you create an interview scenario. And the other thing is, it's very important to have an engaging discussion. See, reading from books, a lot of other things, it's okay, it gives you knowledge, but it doesn't gives you to have counter, like, specifically when you go into this what do you say, these project meetings in a company, you show your design, there are senior engineers sitting in the desk, they will counter question. So you should be able to answer. So just treat your low level design round as such one more round, because when there is an experienced guy sitting on the other end of the camera and is asking you counter questions, They no, this is not recorded. This is live. This is live. I'm taking live. I'll take your questions after this. So please. So you will have to answer counter questions. So I will recommend if you're preparing for low level design or preparing for system rounds, try to have a mentor. They will be able to guide you much more, because these things are something which you need some seniors to take around this. So maybe as a student, a lot of uh, as a fresher, system design will be asked by few companies, not by all. But low level design is something which you should know about. That is for sure. Please do know low level design. That is very, very important. So as I was talking about mentors, so what you can do is you can definitely get one of the mentors from pre-place. They offer you something like a 1 month kind of, or maybe if you want to take them for 3 months, if you want to take them for 6 months, you can just get onboarded with them, and you can ask them to give you a path. So they will probably pitch you a path that, okay, this is how you should do a low level design stuff. And you can ask them to have sessions every week, and then you can engage with discussions, and they'll be checking with you as well, because I feel it's very important someone to hammer you around. Hua kya? Kiya tune? Kiya ki nahi? So it's very important that someone hammers you around. So with pre-place, I think that is something which I definitely like about it, is a mentor being on your back. Did you do this? I gave you. Because even when I'm working at a company, I have a manager whom I'm answerable to. Every time I go to this daily things or daily meetings, uh, every day, the manager asks, okay, what did you do yesterday? So having a mentor actually helps. So in case you feel that a mentor is necessary, please do check out Replaced. It's something which I do resonate with. And as the other thing which I've been hearing, that people are not getting referrals, I'll say try to build your profile. Once you build your profile, try to reach out to people. Again, with these mentors, what happens is, for example, take me as an example. I have a lot of friends, right? I have a lot of friends. I don't think it's buffering. I think your internet is slightly lagging because I'm seeing on the other screen. It's quite okay. So yeah, where was I? Yeah, regarding referrals. So when I'm talking about referrals, the other thing that is very important to note down is to build your profile. But then who gives you referrals? Understand one thing: if you have seniors, you can have seniors in your college, or if you have someone who is working at a product based company. For example, I work at Google, right? But I have all of my friends across companies. Someone works at Amazon, someone works at Walmart, someone works at etc etc. So if one of my juniors comes in and says, भैया Amazon का referral जुगाड़ कर दोगे, I'll be like, दे दे, मैं भेज देता हूँ friend को, and he will refer. So this is what happens with a mentor as well. So if you're onboarded with a mentor, they will help you with referrals as well, because they have all of these friends at 20, 25 companies. So it's very easy for them. So make sure you check out Preplace, because trust me, it is something which I personally resonate with, because taking a course of 2, 3 lakh rupees doesn't make sense. Get a mentor who works at a product based company, ask him about low level stuff, ask him to have a session where he tells about, okay, learn from here, learn from here. That's very helpful. Okay, coming across, what is low level design? It's basically the code stuff. So when you design a product, you have all these things, right? The front page, you write a class that renders it, then you have the next page. So you write functions or classes. So you try to replicate them. You don't write the code. You just say that, okay, this is the class. This class function is to do this. Got it? And questions regarding, can you expect a playlist? Maybe very soon. Next year, I'm planning around January. I'm planning to start low level design. So yeah, for sure. Can I get you as a mentor, please? Sorry. I know if I go as a mentor, it'll be very tough to manage everything. So not now. Maybe sometime in the future. Okay. Uh, let's talk about something which is. एक second. मैंने क्या बोल दिया? Okay. DSA. Again, another thing which I want to stress again. DSA is important. It will be important. If you're preparing for DSA, gone are the days where you'll be asked questions like detect a loop in linked list, reverse a linked list, invert a binary tree. Gone are those days. Everyone knows DSA. So try to do DSA as much as possible in terms of hard questions, and do not mug up. Do not mug up, because interviewers are getting smart. I have all of my friends taking interviews. They tell me one thing: it's very easy to understand if they're mugged up or not, because in an interview, the guidelines are now very strict that if you feel that he has mugged up, reject. So going forward, try to take concepts. Do not mug up questions. Every concept try to do five, six problems, because previously the hiring trend was slightly different. It was more like, okay, let's ask him a DSA question. If he's able to code, let's take him. Nowadays, everyone can code because everyone has access to free resources. So everyone can code. Since everyone can code, it's very important to stand out. How do you stand out? When your explanation process is better, try to explain in depth, and that will only be possible if your concepts are clear. Just do not mug up questions, because if you mug up, they'll say while loop chalaunga yahan se yahan. No, try to explain. As I explain in my videos when I'm teaching, I explain in an in-depth manner. Try to follow that pattern of explanation, because that will give the interviewer an idea that this guy hasn't mugged up, he has his concepts clear. Got it? And whenever you go for a DS round, I've seen in a lot of interviews, people write variable names as int a equal to 2, b equal to 2. There is nothing as eb. Whenever you're writing code in an interview, it, even if it takes time, try to take time and try to make industry level code. Like, don't write a, whatever is the purpose of a. I know it will take 5 seconds more, but try to give a variable name. It doesn't matter, but those extra 5 seconds will give you an outer edge in an interview. Got it? Okay, cool. So that was about DSA. We talked about projects. We talked about low level design. The third thing, the fourth thing, which a lot of companies have introduced, is a more like, what do I say this now? We call it as in 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 Google, we call it as googliness. What do we call in the outside? It's more like a test on your nature kind of thing. Oh, HR rounds are not like that. It's a behavior, yeah, behavior interviews. So is my internet lagging? Let me check with the team. Wait, let me check with the team. Is the internet lagging? Let me check. Give me a second. Culture fit, yeah, culture fit. Is it lagging? I think the people who are saying lagging, I think their internet is slightly slower. What you can do is you can convert the quality to 320p, and you can just hear me, because I have a screen over here. It's running absolutely fine. Trust me. I think A to Z sheet is fine for DSA. DSA, I think, yeah. Culture fit, yeah. So there are rounds for culture fit. So see, I want you to be honest in these rounds, but at the same time, please make sure that while you go for a culture fit round, before that, try to go through questions, because being honest is a thing, and being a corporate employee is a very different thing. Uh, when you're in a college, you're very different. When you go into corporate, it's a very different ball game. So try to read the questions in the internet, try to read the answers, try to see how people are answering, because it's not easy as it sounds. Because you might think, what will happen if I say this? Because at every answer you give, you will be judged. So please try to go through all of these things. Try to go through in the internet. Okay, so I think I've talked about most of the things. Also, there's one other thing that I will try to tell you, which is a hack. So whenever you're going for an interview and you feel your interview hasn't gone up to the mark, try to reach out to the recruiter and tell her that, can I get one more opportunity? I've seen a lot of friends within Google itself. Their one round was very shitty. They reached out to the recruiter and said that, can I have one more round? And they agreed to schedule one more. So if you feel that your round hasn't gone that well, try to reach out to the recruiter and ask him, hey, can I have one more round? A lot of times, if the recruiter is uh, decent enough, they will agree to you. Okay? This works. Trust me, this hack works with bigger companies, because they have the resources to take one more interview, and if they feel your other interviews were good, they might give you one more option. So try this. This happened with one of my friend at media.net as well. A lot of rounds. If you feel, try this. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'll take questions now, because I think communication skill. You should be able to speak a decent English, not like hi-fi English. I also speak like decent English. That's only the requirement. You should be able to understand what he's saying, and you should be able to portray your thoughts. That's it. Okay, I'll take some questions now. In the meantime, in case you want to check out mentors, there's a pinned link in the comments. You can check out all the mentors. Just click on that. What was the code? I think the code is Striver 1000. If you use it, you'll get extra discount as well. There are free trials also. Just take a free trial with any of the mentors. There are mentors from Google, Amazon, Microsoft, every company that you want. Okay, I'll take questions now. So you can put in your questions. I'll pick up one and I'll take it. Just put in your questions. I'll pick up one and take it. Okay. Yeah, Google Poland is hiring. In case you want to apply, please reach out to me on Twitter or Instagram or LinkedIn.
Here's what I found on the web.
Please don't pay. गूगल पोलैंड इज हायरिंग. पहले चेक कर लेना कैरियर्स पे. इफ यू आर एलिजिबल तो फिर मेरे को पिंग कर देना, ठीक है? Is one okay? So I'll pick up the first question, which is one good project fine? So there's a question which states, is one good project fine? It depends. If your one good project is to do app, that's not fine. If you're making an end-to-end product, if you're making a, let's say, I will recommend you to make a full stack project because uh, with the market scenarios, it's better to be open to all the possibilities. Give me a second. With the market scenarios, it's better to be open to all possibilities. If it's a front end role, it's okay. Front end doesn't necessarily mean designing CSS or buttons. Front end is way more than that. Like I also thought when I was in college that front end is about designing buttons. So much more in front end, optimizing page load. So much conceptual stuffs are there. So try to be open to front end roles, try to be open to back end roles, try to be open to full stack roles. And that will only happen if your resume speaks about you being a full stack guy, like who has knowledge about both the things. So I will ideally recommend that if you're making a project, try to make a project which is end to end. Try to have a front end, try to have a back end, so that in an interview you can, or in a wherever round you're going to, you can always say that I have worked with front end as well, I worked with back end as well, so I'm open to these positions. So it is very important that you focus on a one end to end product. If your one end to end product is good enough, you don't need two projects. Trust me, one project with other contributions. If you have participated in hackathons, if you have if you have had some rankings, if you have contributed something to the college in terms of tech, those things will work. But if you're having one project, try to write as many bullet points as possible. Try to define the front end part, try to define the back end part, try to have a quite a good section on your resume. One project doesn't mean just write one liner, give a link. Try to have a bullet point so that it seems that it's a heavy project. Like ऐसा नहीं हो खोल के to do दिखे, heavy project भी दिखना चाहिए, ठीक है? Okay, I'll take the next question. What projects should we do for web dev? Making a full stack app, I think it's the best way to start, and then keep on adding features on it instead of going and making one more. I always tell people, make one thing, try to add features on it, try to add more and more features on it, and try to build it as much big as possible, so that in interview when you speak about it, forget about interviews, wherever you are presenting that project, you can speak about the number of features that your app has, and then itself it shows that it's a big project. So just try on increasing the number of features. Okay. Are there fresher roles at Google Poland? You have to check the careers site. Hi, Striver. Apart from DSA, React JS is in demand. Does Fang also prefer these or DSA system? As I said, if you see a front end engineer role at Google, you can definitely apply. Obviously, DSA will be a criteria, but these things might work in your favor. But DSA, in terms of Google, will be in criteria. But if you look at startups, if you have good React JS knowledge, companies who have their code base in React will prefer hiring you, but you have to prove it. So just make projects around React JS. It's see, there's nothing as कि इस language का सबसे ज़्यादा है. Every language has its own set of companies, but when it comes to big MNCs, they kind of think that we're going to hire the smart people will pick up any language. So the notion is different. With startups, the notion is we want someone who's ready. We want someone who joins and starts working on the code base. We can't spend 2 months to train him. So every language has a specific set of companies. You just need to find those companies. That's it. Okay. So there's a question as resume template. Uh, so again, with resume template, you can use the one that I used. You can find it on Take You Forward. Just write Take You Forward resume. You'll find my template. You can use that. But again, I will recommend after making a resume, run it through a professional. Like when I say run it through a professional means sometimes as a fresher, we think a lot of things are achievements. A lot of freshers think that campus ambassador, what do you call campus ambassador? ही कहते हो ना? Campus ambassador is an achievement. That's not. A lot of people think a lot of things are achievements which are actually not. So whenever you make a resume, try to run it through a professional. Can be a mentor, as I said, someone from pre-placed, someone from anywhere, a senior. Just try to run it through a mentor and ask the mentor, is it okay? And make sure the mentor is working. As a new mentor, ek mahina hi join kiya company. Try to have mentors who are there in the industry for at least 6 months or 1 year, so that they can give you a different perspective. Because once, uh, usually if your mentor has completed 6 months in a company, he would be interviewing people as well, so he has an idea about what kind of resumes to expect. Okay. Okay, I'll take the next question. We have a lot of time. We have a lot of time for Q&A. Don't worry. There are SD2 openings. So at Google, SWE2 openings is technically freshers. SWE3 is technically SD2. Okay. If you see SD2 at Google, that means it's SD1 outside. If it's SD3 at Google, which means it's SD2 outside. Okay. Referrals do help. Okay, let's take one more question. Am I having anything? Give me a second. Okay, I'll take the next question. How to make an LLD for a project? See, whenever you're coding, you're definitely you've coded something for your project, right? And if it's working, what you can do is whatever classes you have written. One thing I've seen with college students as well as freelancers is they write everything in one class. They write everything in one file, which is absurd. Don't do it. Try to break it down into packages, then files, and whatever files you're making, that kind of is your low level design. This calls this arrow, this is how the LLDs are. To get better idea, what you can do is you can just check out the low level designs of very small things, like maybe just take up Book My Show, which is a very simple movie booking website, right? So go over there and check out the low level design of Book My Show. You get an idea about how to represent. That will kind of give you an idea, and then you can represent your project in that perspective. Okay. Hey Striver, I'm thinking of making a full stack project with my friends as contributors. Should I go forward with it, or should I make an individual project? Again, you can go forward with it. There's no issue with that. As long as you are able to explain your areas where you have worked on, it's perfectly fine. But again, I'm repeating this again. If it's a small project and you're saying that 4 people have worked on this, uh, your value diminishes. So that is where you have to be careful. Make sure that it's a big project, and then having multiple contributors does make sense. Okay, we'll take questions. Keep the questions coming. I'll pick. I'm also suffering from tuberculosis. I was also. Don't worry, you'll get fine. Just follow the medicines at time. You'll be fine and get well soon. Uh, okay. Alfonso is asking, can you explain how to showcase projects that are not in web dev or app dev? I mean, like DL project or some C++ project for scale testing. I think something like a DL project. I'm not sure because I'm not from that domain. I'm not sure if I'll be the correct person to guide you on this. Maybe pick up someone who has done on this domain and ask him. That's a better idea. I think you'll find on Preplace for sure someone who's on that domain. I personally feel if I'm not from a domain, I should not speak about it. So I'll not speak about it. Okay. How much LLD is required for 3+ years experience? I think it's an absolute must. It's an absolute must. Okay, keep the questions coming. I'll take some more. We have some more time. If I go for gap for 1 year to prepare all DSA, is it a good idea? I don't think so. If you're going for a gap, explaining that kind of is tough. Uh, Specifically, right after your college, it gets tough to explain to people unless until you come up with extreme high level skills. Like you're very good after taking that gap, then it's okay. But if you feel after taking that gap, you'll be still a normal student. I don't think it makes sense. Are you planning to make videos on LLD? Uh, I don't think on LLD, but maybe on system design. Yeah. System design is something which I'm looking forward to, but I'll take a bit more time because I'm still going through a lot of videos and blogs. Unless until I am confident about that topic, like I can give an interview, but can I explain to people who are preparing? For that, you have to be a master yourself. Otherwise, like with DSA, I know that I know them in depth. So I'm looking for that time when I'm in depth. Once I'm in that zone, expect a lot of them coming in. Okay, let's take some other questions. Where is CP compulsory? See, time and time again, I've said CP is not compulsory. There is nothing which is compulsory. Lead code is not compulsory. Nothing is compulsory in the world. There's a lot of factors involved. Everything is scenario based. Now, if I'm going for media.net kind of interview, if I'm going for a coordination kind of interview, your experience your experience in CP is critical. That doesn't mean CP is compulsory. Someone might get through, maybe because of luck, maybe because he just got an answer to that question at that point of time, maybe his concepts were strong. Nothing is compulsory. It's about how you utilize your skills, right? So अब ऐसा थोड़ी मतलब अभी जैसे आईपीएल खेलना होता है इंडिया खेलने के लिए, लाइक इट्स काइंड ऑफ अ मैंडेट. इफ यू प्ले आईपीएल then you play India, right? As in the cricket team. But is it like, can I say like IPL is compulsory? No, no. It's more like if you are playing IPL, you have more exposure, you have more skill set about facing harder bowlers. You play with international players. Same as CP. CP is kind of, you're competing with the best and the best in the world. So when you compete with the best and the best in the world, then the coding rounds looks easier. But that doesn't mean that without CP you cannot do it. Got it? So there is nothing as compulsion. I never had projects, but I still made it. So saying something is compulsory is absurd. Got it? Again, भैया OA कैसे clear करे? So there's a question. भैया OA कैसे clear करे? OA means online assessment. How do you clear online assessment is a good question. I've seen the questions nowadays. They're very tough. As I said, going forward, the hiring trend will change. You'll not get questions as sort and array, merge short, these kind of questions in your online assessments. You'll get questions which are tough. Try to simulate. You call it simulate, right? Give me. Try to simulate the coding environment. Now, when I say simulate, it means you're going for coding rounds. Like coding rounds होता कैसे? वो पानी पी लेता है. Why have you not liked the video? There's like 351 people watching. There's like 191 likes. Give it a like. Give it a like so that it goes till at least 300. Let's do it 300. Come on. Okay, and you can also subscribe to this channel because we will have a lot of mentor talks on this channel going forward. So you can also subscribe to this channel. Okay, coming back, online assessment. Try to simulate the online assessment. How you can do is, what is an online assessment? It's a contest, hiring contest under a closed door, where the timer ticks for 90 minutes or 60 minutes or 120 minutes, where you're given three questions, unseen, most probably unseen questions, which you have to solve. Why don't you give contest? If you give lead code contest, that's a simulation. If you give code forces contest, it's a simulation of that environment. Because the more you are used to getting unseen questions, The more you're used to that timer ticking, the better you'll get. So the only way, like I'm not saying again, it's not a compulsion. What I'm saying is the only way to get better at online assessments or making it sure that okay you will be able to get it through, I think, is to give more and more contests. It can be on code forces, it can be on lead code. That is what I'll recommend. Again, don't ask me questions about blockchain and all these things. Does not having open source contributions is a big disadvantage? I don't think so. Like, if you have freelance work, if you have projects, if you have hackathon experience, see, as long as you're able to prove that whatever skill set you have written, you have done something on that skill set, it should be okay. Like, if I'm saying I'm a good competitive programmer, I need to show my ranks. Then it proves it, right? If I'm saying that I know React, I need to show something which I've developed using React. Again, doing an open source contribution is great, but saying that if you don't have one is a disadvantage will be unfair, because as an interviewer, mostly people look like, if you have written a skill, what are the data points that I can see on your resume that tells me that this guy knows React? That can be a project, that can be a hackathon, that can be anything, that can be an open source contribution on a project which is React based as well. So as long as you're able to have data points backing up your skill set, should be fine. Okay, going to the next questions. Board marks important for fresher. When you're going for TCS, all these companies, they do look at minimum 60%. If you're having 60%, nothing else matters. But when you look at MNCs, I don't think they check for any 60% criteria. As long as you've passed, I think that should be okay. Okay, let's go on the next one. How to identify patterns in DSA questions. I think I've created the sheet, A to Z DSA sheet. Just go over there. You'll find patterns filled. I've, I've arranged every question pattern wise. You'll get to know about all the patterns. Strivers A to Z sheet. Just Google about it. You'll get to know. Okay, let's. Sir, I'm not able to focus on a full time preparation because I have joined a startup as intern. Should I leave internship and focus on full time and my college placement is not good? Even teachers do not come. I think you should gain a lot of experience out of that internship instead of just uh, see, try to prepare in your spare time in your weekends. But if you're getting good knowledge from that startup, everything is not done for money. What if in those 6 months you learn a lot of things? Imagine the startup gives you enough liberty to build things, to learn out of it. After 6 months, you'll be an amazing developer, right? And that can help you to get future jobs. So unless or until your startup is like, okay, you're doing stuff which you already know, then you can think about quitting it, because as an intern, always look about one thing. Are you learning? Are you getting better as a person? Are you improving your skill set? If these conditions are met, you should never leave an internship because of a money or anything. Like, I know a lot of internships are very underpaid, but if you're getting that learning experience as an intern, try to focus on it, because पैसे बन जाएंगे. पैसे तुम बना लोगे जब कॉलेज से निकलोगे. एक स्किल सेट होगा, पैसे बना लोगे. I made YouTube videos for the first 1.5 years. I never made a money. I never made a penny for the first 1.5 years. I still made videos. Now today I can make money because of the effort that I did put in for the first 1.5 years. So always thinking about the money factor, always thinking about क्या होगा कल बाकी कुछ कर लेता हूँ is wrong. If you're getting a learning exposure, learning curve, take it any day. Okay. Okay, my throat will go off. I'll probably take 10-15 minutes more. Will you please explain your domain? I think I work as a kind of, I'm not sure if you call it as a full stack developer or a middle stack developer. So our team works with Google Cloud. We work with the Angular tech. So it's more like we manage Angular, but we don't design buttons, because at Google there's a different team that designs buttons and the colors. We try to write the logic which improves the page speed, which makes sure that everything is faster, kind of customer experience, like in terms of front end, but not the designing stuff, more like the experience stuff where it's the loading speed comes in, a lot of other things. And then we have the middle layer where we kind of play with the data, we manipulate the data, whatever we need, we kind of filter it out, a lot of other things, and then we call the backend. So the backend is something which I don't do, but the manipulation and the experience is something we do, and the front end is done by some other team designer. That's what I do at Google. Yeah. Okay, tell me, as a senior engineer, why should someone enrolled to pre-place, given he is already aware of the process, what extra this platform provides if it's already similar in product-based company? So if you're in a product-based company, you can always switch. So when I say about finding a mentor, it's not about that, okay, just go and find one. If you feel a need for it, then you go around and find it. So like something like an open-ended discussions. If you can have it with a senior in your team, you can always have it. But if you don't have a senior in your team to have an open-ended discussion, obviously a mentor, even if you're a senior engineer, because I personally think you can be a senior, super senior one, but no one is perfect or no one knows everything. So even me, like, I can speak about DSA, but I might not be knowing everything about data structures algorithms. So it's always good to have a discussion, and this is where I think people do come in, and that's where pre-place comes in. Because if I have someone that I'm talking to who knows something different, I'll always learn. That's it. Considering yourself to be 100% perfect is the wrong way to look at it. Cool. I'll go to the next questions. Give me a second. My God. Okay. What about certificate courses? Certificates are baseless unless until you have data points to back the things that you have learned during that certificate courses. It matters. Otherwise, just pasting a certificate in your resume is nonsense. Whatever questions asked in Googliness round, uh, technically in the culture fit or the Googliness round, they usually ask questions like, tell me a scenario where you had a problem, you had to discuss with your team, how did you manage to come out of it? This might be a question. Uh, the toughest challenge that you faced in your life, how did you come out with it? What scenarios did you consider? Questions which breaks you out, and it gives you an idea that if you're real or not. More like questions like that. Resume shortlist nahi hota. I'll say get it reviewed by a mentor. That's a good option. Get it reviewed by a mentor, because with resumes the things are, you need to input data points. You need to enter something like, I did something which had this much. So numbers are very important in terms of resumes. Placement is very important, because there's a study which says the recruiters go for 7 seconds through a resume. So if I'm looking at this resume for 7 seconds, if I don't find things at the correct place, this resume is gone. So it's very important to have crisp knowledge at the top section. So make it go through a mentor. They will try to, someone who has gone through these things, they will help you out for sure. But I'll say try to have as much crisp information in the upper section, because that is where first the eye goes. Dada, when will you complete binary search play? I think there are two questions left. I'll do it. I'll do it. Don't worry. I'll do it probably this week. This week. Okay. I heard they asked DSA in all rounds. I think as a fresher, they will ask you DSA in all rounds. With as you move on levels, if you're going as an SD2, which is the second level at Google, then you might have a round depending on the role that you're applying to. Not all the roles. Like for my team, if we hire, we always have a round which is like multiple rounds. I'll not say how many rounds. That is not allowed to disclose, but we have multiple rounds where we do give questions like design this, design that, and they have to design. But that's one level up, not as a fresher. As a fresher, Google says if you are smart, we will train you. That's how it is. But the hiring structure at Google pull is same as Google across every place. Is E to Z sheet for beginners? Yes, it is. It is for beginners. Just go through it. Is it okay to go for masters abroad due to low paying Indian market? Again, it's a personal thing. A lot of factors are involved when you move abroad. The family that you have to think of. There's a lot of other things. Saying it without knowing your background will be cruel to you. So it's something we should always discuss with your parents. Sit back with your parents, ask them. Tell them about what you feel like, what you want to do in your life, and they're the best ones who can tell you if you should go or not. There's money everywhere. There's money everywhere. It's not like in India you don't have money. In India also you get a lot of money. Outside you get a lot of money, but you spend also a lot of money. So it's more like rent भी उतना ही देते हो, right? Okay, let's take the likes to 400 and click on the subscribe if you haven't clicked on yet. Click on the subscribe if you haven't clicked on yet. Let's take it to 4,000 subscribers when we end the stream for sure. What is my experience working in Europe? I think it's amazing. Work culture wise, they're very good. These people are very good. They don't force you much, which is something I like. A weekend is a weekend. After six is after six. There's no disturbance after six. There's no weekend disturbance. I think the work culture is amazing at Europe. If if you wanna come for work culture, I think Europe is the best place that you can come to. And it's just not for my team; it's across every team, bearing one or two teams. Okay, I'll take few more questions because my throat is going off. I'll take few more questions. Don't ask repetitive questions. Let's take it to 4,000 subscribers, and we have. Where is lead code hard enough for Google OS? Again, nothing is enough. What is enough is if you are good at concepts. Lead code hard, lead code medium, lead code super hard is not enough. If you are good at concepts, that is what matters. If I know dynamic programming in depth, if I'm sure, if you give me lead code hard, if you give me lead code medium, if you give me lead code small, I can solve it. That is what matters. Thinking on this perception, what is enough is bullshit. Think think at it at this perspective is, am I good at DP? If I get a DP question, will I be scared? Like when you go to an interview, you think ना यार ये इंटरव्यू डीपी ना पूछे, बस डीपी ना पूछे. अगर ये सोच है ना तो दिक्कत है. You should go into an interview thinking कुछ भी पूछ ले भाई मैं तो सब दे दूंगा. That's when the thing. Lead code this enough, this your sheet enough, उसका sheet enough, उसका playlist enough. ऐसा नहीं. कॉन्सेप्ट पे फोकस करो. अगर तुम्हारा कॉन्सेप्ट स्ट्रांग है, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता तुमने क्या किया है क्या नहीं. अगर कॉन्सेप्ट स्ट्रांग है, नया क्वेश्चन आएगा तो भी बना लोगे. गॉट इट. Try to give mock interviews. Again, I'm repeating. Try to give as much as mock interviews as possible. Like with mentors at pre-placed, mock interview. उनको बोलो अगर mentors ले रहे हो pre-placed पे, उनको बोलो भैया मुझे चाहिए mock interview. आप मेरे को grill करो interview में जैसे grill होता है, because you have to get rid of that interview fear. ठीक है? DevOps is not my area of expertise, so I'll not say what is the demand. My area of expertise is front end, back end, full stack, software engineer. इसके around पूछ लो, I will say. ठीक है? I'll take two more questions because I think मेरा गला अब चला जाएगा. What is the competition scale? See, there is, as I said, there is no competition scale. There's nothing like IQ level 90 will be selected, and there's nothing like we'll select the best. Whenever you go for an interview, what happens is अगर 40 बंदे हैं अप्लाई किए, जो पहला बंदा क्लियर करता है बाहर उसको ले लेते हैं. भले ही बाकी के बंदों में एक बंदा दुनिया का बेस्ट कोडर क्यों नहीं है, फर्क नहीं पड़ता. What matters is the first guy or the girl who clears the bar, interview bar, I will take it. That is what happens on the recruiter's perspective. The recruiter will never be, I have 40 candidates, I'll select the best. No. I have 40 candidates, whoever clears the bar first, he's the one who will get picked first. So there's no scale, there's no competition. Try to be at it. As like a lot of time recruiters will ask you, how many days do you require? I've seen people saying, I need 4 weeks to prepare. Someone will say 2 weeks. Someone will give the interviews before you. Someone will back the offer before you. So always be always be careful about this. Whenever a recruiter is approaching, try to move things as fast as possible, because it's not about the best possible candidate. It's about the first possible candidate. So always fasten your process whenever you're talking to a recruiter. Okay. आवाज आ रहा है ना? मैं बहुत चिल्ला चिल्ला के बोल रहा हूँ क्योंकि स्टार्टिंग में तुमने बोला आवाज नहीं आ रहा था मेरा. लास्ट क्वेश्चन आई टेक आफ्टर दिस. आई एम गॉन. मेरा गला सूख गया. लास्ट क्वेश्चन आई टेक. अभी डन विद 4,000 सब्सक्राइबर्स. 4,000 सब्सक्राइबर्स कर दो फिर मैं जाता हूँ. Let's really do it 4,000. We'll have more and more discussions around. A lot of more mentors will be coming on this. So Hardik is asking, Hi Raj, I was laid off this year after 2+ years of experience. Please guide me. Again, yeah, sorry to hear it. But I'll say keep applying on Naukri.com, Indeed, LinkedIn Jobs. Try to get people who can refer you, and just prepare. It's okay. Like, okay, I have a lot of friends who got laid off. Okay, it's just a bump because the career trajectory is for 30 years. Just a small bump. So don't get demotivated. Try applying. It might take 2-3 months because the market is slightly on the down curve. But ठीक है, apply करो. But I will say one thing. Whatever salary you were working with, शायद उतना नहीं मिलेगा. I had a lot of my friends who were working with 24, 25 base package, base, not CTC, base salary. They had to downgrade themselves to 12, 13, 14. They took like 50% cut on their previous base salary. It's because the market condition is bad and the recruiters have recognized it and they are bargaining like anything. In 2021, we were bargaining 20 चाहिए, 25 चाहिए, 30 चाहिए. अब recruiter बोलता है 12 देंगे, देना है ले, नहीं तो भाड़ में. So maybe you have to downgrade a bit, but it's okay. Just get in somewhere, find that stability, and then once the market stabilizes, we will have a good time. All of us will have a good time. ठीक है? Okay, एक और ले लेते हैं क्वेश्चन. एक और ले लेते हैं. चलो, इतना क्वेश्चन आ रहे तो एक और ले लेते हैं. गला तो मेरा सूख गया. 4K हो गया, बहुत सही. 4K भी हो गया. लाइक कितने? 314 लाइक, वेरी बैड. 500 तो होने चाहिए था. इतने लोग आए एंड सिर्फ 314. I think with all the someone asked me a question. Someone is asking a question. Will Google Poland give equal importance all over the world, or will they hire only if not available in Poland? So I'll tell you how this works. All these international stuff works. So it can be Google Poland. It can be Google Germany, Google London, Google USA. So every country has their rules. So most of the countries have their rules as if you have an open position, that open position is only valid for their country for the first 3 to 6 months. It depends. For Poland, it is 3 months. For some countries, it is 4 months. For some countries, it is 6 months. So the open position is valid for 3 months. So if within that 3 months, Google is able, or any other company for that sake, is able to hire from that country itself, then they will never ever interview anyone from outside. If at the end of 3 months or whatever is the strict deadline, if that is done and they were not able to hire within the country itself, that is when they move outside and they look for countries from where they can hire, and they look for countries where there is no visa issues. Someone like in USA, if there is an opening in USA and they were not able to fill it, they will never look for Indian people because you don't get a quick visa from India. So they never hire people from India directly unless and until you have done a master's or something in US and you already have a visa. They will hire people from Canada because they will get visa very quickly. Same like Google Zurich or some Amazon, like I'm not sure what companies are there in Zurich. Zurich. Zurich says we're going to hire people with European passports because it's easier for them to get the work permit. Someone from an Indian passport might not get a work permit, so we will not take that risk. So it depends from country to country. If getting a visa is easier for you, the country will prefer you only if you haven't got an candidate from the country itself. Got it? Cool. I think that's it for today. My voice is gone. Thank you everyone for joining. It was wonderful talking to each of you, and we'll meet sometime very soon again. And again, make sure to check out replays. They have an amazing set of mentors. The founder himself sits on a call with each of them. Like every mentor that you see on the platform, the founder himself has interviewed every mentor, and most of them are very good. So just go through them, and if you need a mentor, do check out replays. There's a link over there, and the code. I think they told me the code. I forgot. I think it's Striver 1000. That's the code. Probably I'll ask them to put in the description. If you use Striver 1000, you'll get some extra credits which you can use. And yeah, thank you Replays again for having me, and we'll have this again sometime soon. And if you are still watching, please make sure you like this and subscribe to this channel because there'll be a lot of mentors coming in. I'll be ending the stream. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day. Have a good weekend.